Welcome to Renegade Thinkers Unite, a show that will help you transform your marketing from mere messaging to programs that break the rules and make a difference. Join the movement today and learn non-traditional techniques that give you an edge. Now, here's your Chief Marketing Renegade, Drew Nizer.
This is Drew Nizer, and I am so excited to have Aniko Delaney, who is the CMO of BNY Mellon, here with me today on Renegade Thinkers Unite. We're going to be talking about one of the coolest marketing programs that I've heard about in a long time. But before we get there, a little suspense, please. Before we get there, we're going to talk a little bit about Aniko and your career. I mean, you've been at BNY Mellon for your entire career. I mean, who does that anymore?
Well, I have to say it's a thrill to be here. So thank you so much, Drew, for having this conversation. And I have to say I'm very, very honored to be head of corporate marketing for BNY Mellon. And it's really awesome to have the responsibility of the BNY Mellon brand. It's an institution that's over 232 years old. And I have to say, when I first graduated from Middlebury College, I graduated with a French literature degree and an art history minor.
Perfect.
So you wouldn't necessarily expect the banking career?
No, I guess not. It's perfect for a banker, right? Everybody, they all speak French and study art history while you're banking.
Exactly. So maybe that was a little precursor to my interest in all things creative. But I had this great opportunity to join Bank of New York at the time, now it's BNY Mellon, in their management training program. So it was a training program designed to develop a series of branch managers for the retail bank. But I had a really wonderful time going through rotations, and my favorite one, of course, was marketing. And so 4 years later, I ended up back in the marketing role and spent 6 years on various amazing campaigns for the retail bank. But I opted to go to business school when I decided I loved marketing. So I went to NYU and did a double major in finance and marketing.
There you go. So let me ask you a question here on that, because I get a lot of questions from folks in marketing. How important and how helpful was it to you to have an MBA as a marketer?
For me, it was very important because, again, coming from a liberal arts education, I wanted to get the knowledge and the academic background in marketing and finance, because I loved the marketing aspect, but being in the finance industry, you really do need to understand accounting, statistics, economics. So I wanted to have that knowledge.
There you go. So you could actually be really understand banking, probably in the business that you're in. Okay, that makes sense. And so you've spent your career there, and you became head of marketing when?
So for the past 2 years, I have been head of marketing, head of corporate marketing. But what was really, I guess, a wonderful opportunity is I have this comprehensive view because I have been the head of marketing for 6 of our different businesses.
Wow.
And it really gave me the chance to dig deeper into the business, get to know our target markets. And again, now in this corporate role, it affords me a very unique perspective. So it's been fun to have that.
All right. Well, let's talk about how you applied that perspective. Take me back to planning a year ago when you were thinking about what are you going to do in 2016, and how you ended up with the campaign that I call the Hamilton campaign. I suspect you have a different name for it.
Well, we do affectionately call it the Hamilton campaign, but we officially call it our Invested in Our Legacy campaign. And for many, many years, as long as I've been at the company, we've always celebrated Alexander Hamilton and our 232 years of his pioneering and innovative spirit. So we really feel that we embody that at the company. But what's been amazing is to see how Ron Chernow's book, Hamilton, inspired Lin-Manuel Miranda's amazing Broadway show that has now led to an amazing celebration of, one of the founding fathers that wasn't as known. And now we all, think he's just this cultural phenomenon. So for us at BNY Mellon, we have this unique ability and relationship with him to talk about him as our founding father back in 1784. So it's been wonderful.
So, so from a strategy standpoint, because Hamilton's obviously been a part of the bank since you were founded 230 years ago. What was it opportunistic? This show came along, there was this crescendo of interest and said, okay, we can talk about it, or was there some other aspects of bringing, sort of helping you with the brand and expanding perceptions of the bank?
Absolutely. So we continue to build off of our strong, stable base, and we are really a respected and trusted organization. But what we've been trying to do over the past several years is really modernize our brand, make it much more conversational, human. And so it's been a great chance to take the Hamilton phenomenon again and create our message in a much more digital and social media friendly way. So it has been this amazing opportunity to really use fun creative, create snackable content, and again, create this multimedia campaign.
Okay. So, and I've talked to a number of folks. In fact, several of our clients are over 100 years old, and it's just an interesting thing. How do you make something that is old, 232 years, as you said, young, 232 years, how do you make something that is old, young again, and fresh and current?
So we have had some great times working with our wonderfully creative agencies, both the creative side and media buying, to really bring that story to life. And what we've done is celebrating this 232 years of innovative and pioneering spirit, but taking examples. So for example, in our archives, we have these beautiful handwritten ledgers with client names in it. For example, of course, Alexander Hamilton, even Aaron Burr. Some of the clients' names are memorialized in street signs across Manhattan. But today, the discussion that we have in our innovation centers is around blockchain, which is a distributed ledger, right? So it's all about taking the new technology and figuring out solutions for our clients so they can address the quickly evolving marketplace.
Interesting. And boy, blockchain is the conversation that seems to come up every day. And we could spend a lot of time on that, but let's talk about some of the specific things that you did in terms of, the digital and the social and being and talking, frankly, as rarely the way banks talk. I mean, it's very fun. It's very engaging. So talk a little bit about some of the work that you've done.
Right. So again, in imagining what our social campaign could be, we're trying to have a lot of great content, so very educational, and then trying to activate it in a very creative way. So for example, in 1789, we were the first to make a loan to the U.S. government. But today, we service and offer investment management capabilities to 80% of the Fortune 500 companies. So again, we can take these short messages, package them, and also use special moments in the social media arena. For example, we kicked off our campaign back on June 9th when we celebrate our 232nd anniversary. We rang the bell at the New York Stock Exchange, but then that was followed just a week later with the Tonys. So we could enter this conversation that we normally wouldn't have.
So how incredible and exciting was it when Hamilton practically swept the Tony? I mean, that must have been just one of those wonderful moments as a marketer.
Absolutely. And I have to say, our whole team has been just amazed with this great opportunity. And so we had a lot of fun, again, working with our agencies to come up with some very creative tweets. And one that I love the best is Lin-Manuel gets a Tony for Best Book. Much deserved. Though at a mere 20,000 words, I'd call it a pamphlet.
Right.
And he's such a prolific writer, right? So can you imagine him trying to tweet?
No, he was unbelievable in terms of how much he was able to crank out. And I like the fact that you used him and you signed it off AH as if he was tweeting. And some of the things that I thought were really cool, the animated GIFs that you did with him bowing. I mean, that, again, behavior that you don't expect to see from a bank. Was there any concern about, we're going too far, we're having too much fun here?
No, there was no concern. And again, I think in the spirit of delighting and surprising our various constituents out there, we really were able to have some fun and use Hamilton's voice. Again, as our founder, we thought that would be a wonderful way to bring that story to life, to remind people that he was our founder, but again, have some fun with the Tonys. And we actually had some opportunity to share some messages Father's Day, right, as our founding father. So we're finding these, again, social media moments that are really, we can engage in the conversation now.
Renegade Thinkers Unite is brought to you by Social Media Explorer, the website that explores the world of social media from the inside out. Great advice from today's leading social media columnists and experts at socialmediaexplorer.com. That's socialmediaexplorer.com.
So I've had this conversation with Beth Comstock about, her personal involvement in social and why GE is so involved. But your chairman might look at Twitter and say, okay, my customers, my Fortune 1000 customers are not exactly looking at our Twitter stream. Why is it important as a 232-year-old bank for you to be on these social channels? Or what does that deliver for the brand?
Oh, I think social media is incredibly important for raising our brand visibility. And as we know, the prospect to client, the candidate to employee journeys have changed. They all begin really with, it's critical to have a digital and social presence. And Gerald Hassel, our chairman and CEO, is an influencer on LinkedIn. So he really has set the bar very high for the executives at the firm, and we really do believe that it's very important to reach out again to the constituents that we have. Again, it could be trying to attract the right talent to help us be innovative and really think in the new way to attract the clients. And again, a lot of people are really using the digital channels to search and also get great content. So it's a wonderful way to share our content.
Interesting that you're CEO, and it always seems to start that way or end that way. If your CEO is actively involved in social, how much easier it makes it for the marketing department. But I think it's interesting because as a chairman of the CEO of a bank, I don't necessarily expect to see one on providing thought leadership on LinkedIn. So lucky you.
Well, exactly. And if you think about, Alexander Hamilton was an amazing thought leader.
Oh my God. Yeah.
The Coast Guard and started a newspaper and of course founded, the U.S. financial system and of course the bank. So again, we're in that spirit. We're really trying to continue sharing our thought leadership, our expertise. And again, the social channels are a wonder way to go global immediately, right?
Right. Now, it's funny because, in some ways we're still fighting the battles that Jefferson and Hamilton were having in the arguments about the role of government, the role of finance. Do you, as a bank, do you sort of align yourself with Hamilton and his thinking in terms of his perspective on how a government can perform?
Well, the way we really embody his spirit is through his innovative thinking. We really want to continue to drive. That's why we're zoning in on blockchain. That's why we're zoning in on the various regulations. How, again, can we help our clients and other constituents we work with evolve? Because the velocity of change is so intense that we have to continually think of new processes, more streamlined, better efficiencies, and that we're really committed to making, the financial system as efficient as possible. And
it's funny. Hamilton is certainly one of the most brilliant minds, and I happen to be a big Franklin fan, and he had lived an incredible life, almost made it, I think, I think he died at 87, but his only regret was that he couldn't see what else was going to be invented. And I suspect Hamilton was the same way, would have wanted to just keep things moving, whereas, of course, Jefferson was always looking backwards. Anyway, enough on that. But let's talk about, there were a couple other things that you've done to bring this old new campaign to life. I think a partnership with PBS. Tell me a little bit more about some of those things.
Yeah, so we have this multimedia campaign and we have social media, digital, but one of the things we're really excited about is our sponsorship of PBS WNET's documentary. It's called Hamilton's America, and it's feature film length, and it's going to explore the making of the Broadway show and includes footage of Lin-Manuel Miranda's show, as well as key interviews, and it's going to really bring the story to life of not only of the Hamilton story, but also the making of the show and the innovative structures that Lin used.
It's funny. I just, as you're talking about Hamilton, I'm remembering in Chernow's book how important his wife was in all of this, and remembering him, because she's the one who really got all of his stuff published posthumously, and he might have been in some ways forgotten, and she really played a key role in that.
Absolutely. And I think what is amazing is about telling stories and how important that is, and to really bring, and if you think about, I think Hamilton would have loved social media these days, right? He was somebody who was an incredibly prolific writer. He wanted to share his messages, and he was so influential that I can't imagine. I mean, 140 characters might have been a little limiting for him.
Yeah, he would have needed a lot of bit.ly.
He would have been constantly on, but I think he would have really enjoyed the equanimity of just being able to share with so many people.
So you've got all these elements. We've talked about an integrated campaign. How do you measure the impact of something like this?
So we have our standard KPIs, but we have really zoned in on trying to take some of the analytics and really use those insights from the metrics to adjust the campaign, and seeing what content is really resonating. And we've seen double and triple digit engagement and awareness metrics. So we've been really thrilled.
Interesting. Okay, so you've taken this extremely hot property, obviously the hottest play in the world, really, connected it to a brand where you predated their association, so there's no borrowed equity, if you will, because that relationship, you existed them by 230 years. So what do you, this has been an incredible year for you. How do you, is this something that you stop here and say, oh, we're going to think about something new for 2017? How do you extend this forward? Give us a preview of the kinds of things we might expect coming forward.
Well, the whole marketing team, I have to say, has really rallied behind this concept. And what we're trying to do is think of new ways to activate it. So whether it's in the digital arena, with employee engagement, events, we're even considering and exploring augmented reality. Again, we're just going to continue to explore, because I think there's just so many wonderful things to do. Right now, we're almost only limited by our resources. So again, we set the year-long campaign so that we have really good stake in the ground for the metrics. But again, this is a theme we've been using as long as I've been with the company. So now we're just able to tell the story in a much more engaging and fun way.
Well, he's cool now.
Very cool.
Right. And so they couldn't have done a bigger favor for you. I mean, certainly they turned this individual who was historic and turned him into something contemporary that just about everybody. So is it required that all employees see the play? If they could get tickets, I imagine.
Oh, I wish we could, make tickets available to everybody, but certainly it's one of the hottest shows going. So it's very difficult to get tickets, but we are very proud, and that's one of the reasons that we're really proud to sponsor the PBS WNET documentary, and that will include footage of the show. So we're hoping that many people will tune in and watch it.
Okay, so we've got this a campaign that certainly engaged a new audience, it brought a new perspective. What were some of the, if you had a bunch of chief marketing officers or aspiring chief marketing officers, what do you think some of the key lessons learned in terms of managing a campaign like this?
Well, I think it's always important to have a very unique and authentic story that represents your brand. And more and more, especially with the social media channels, we have to be really careful to make sure the content is educational and really meaningful, but then have some fun with the creative and make it things that you really want to engage in and catches your attention. The other thing I think that's been, for us, a really great opportunity is to think outside the box, think about conversations happening, whether it's the Tonys or Father's Day, and try to make our brand very relevant in unexpected and delightful ways.
And I love that summation. We do a lot of content marketing programs here, and our emphasis is always on quality and distinctiveness versus quantity, because there's just plenty of content out there, and certainly this created a unique opportunity for you. But you took it one step further than I think most people might have done it, and so I applaud you for that.
Well, I have to give credit to our fantastic agencies. And, we work with our creative, our media buying, our digital, and we really gave them a little more license to say, look, we have this great opportunity. Let's share our brand in unique and special ways. So I have to say, it's been with our team, it's been just a incredible chance to make a difference for the brand and really bring it to life in ways that, a couple years ago we wouldn't have thought of.
Right, and I think that's important. I did notice that Chiat was at least one of the agencies that you work with, my alma mater way back when. But it was good to see. I could see their hand in that. It was very smart, really smart and clever work, and that's so rare, particularly in financial services. So, all right. Well, we've talked about lessons learned. And I guess the sort of last sort of summation on this thing was, what was the biggest surprise that came out of this program for you?
I have to say the biggest surprise were the engagement rates, both internally as well as externally. Right. People really, this concept resonated, and I think it's more than just how cool Hamilton has become, but it's the person. He was truly insightful, innovative, but he also got things done. He was an implementer. And I think he's been so inspiring to many. And having that also special connection has really, inspired those who work here at the BNY Mellon, but also our clients and constituents to be really proud of the company that we are. And just carrying on that spirit of, pioneering and innovation.
I think that's such a good point, and it's funny. I had a long conversation with Jennifer Domankini, who's a CMO of BBVA Compass, and we talked a lot about her brand purpose and how they had activated employees. And a lot of times, marketing is just thought about as an external activity, but it's in order for it to really become important. Really it needs to permeate the organization. Did you have any kind of internal marketing about this marketing?
Oh, absolutely. We worked with our internal communications team, and we're able to really, again, bring that life, bring the story to life internally. And the key goal with this constituent base is to really, inspire pride. And so we have messages from our chairman and CEO. We have messages with our own teams, and we've challenged people to say, take the story and think of ways that you can activate it. Again, we've got this theme of innovation. How with your business, how is that coming to light? And again, what are examples that you can share with your teams as well as your client base to make it a special, talk about the brand, but also talk about what you're doing to help clients.
Smart. Storytelling is certainly something that a lot of brands are trying to do better. It's a very difficult thing because it's actually something, as you know, you need to be trained to become a good storyteller. Otherwise, you're just sort of repeating what someone else has told you, and you need to make it personal.
Right,
I think that's
examples, right? You really need those examples to bring it to life.
And so, I think this has been a terrific conversation. I'm so grateful that I could spend a few minutes with you to talk about Alexander Hamilton, the Bank of New York Mellon, and how you capitalized on this cultural phenomenon, but I think added your own element to it in order to make it your own. Obviously, you have the Hamilton connection, but being able to link his innovation to the branch, I think, to the brand is a very special thing. So I applaud you for that. Thank you so much for being on this podcast.
Well, I have to say thank you for the opportunity, and I really am grateful for the amazing team effort. So this was just an incredible effort by many. So very grateful.
Well, thank you. And
two things that have made our Invest in Our, did you want me to use our theme, our Invest in Our Legacy campaign, or just
Sure.
generic?
No, I think it's fine if you talk about it specifically. So go ahead and do a test run, introduce yourself.
And then let me say, so hi, I'm Aniko Delaney, head of corporate marketing at BNY Mellon. And one of the things I'd love to share with you is two incredibly successful things that we've done with our Invested in Our Legacy campaign, which is a campaign that brings our 232 years of innovative spirit to life. I think what's been very useful is to leverage this very authentic and unique relationship we have with Alexander Hamilton. And having Alexander Hamilton as our founder back in 1784, we have this great opportunity with Hamilton being a cultural phenomenon today to take that message and create it in a very educational but fun and creative way for social and digital channels. Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Aniko Delaney, head of corporate marketing at BNY Mellon, and I'm really happy to be here today to share some insights about successes for our Invested in Our Legacy campaign that is really embodying the spirit of Alexander Hamilton and his innovative and insightful approach to, can I do it one more? Hi, I'm Aniko Delaney, head of corporate marketing for BNY Mellon. And I would love to share with you our Invest in Our Legacy campaign that revolves around Alexander Hamilton's incredibly pioneering and innovative spirit. He founded BNY Mellon back in 1784, and one of the ways we're bringing this story to life is through very authentic and unique messages that we are able to create for digital and social. So we've used some very creative executions in order to activate this message. So just wanted to share that with you.
This has been Renegade Thinkers Unite, but it doesn't end there. Visit renegade.com/podcast for more and subscribe to the show. That way you'll never miss an episode. We'll talk with you next time on Renegade Thinkers Unite.